In this video, I'm going to talk about defensive strategy, but I'm not going to give a specific strat for a specific map site. I'm instead going to explain a universal concept with respect to positioning that is something you can hopefully apply to any strategy on any map to punch it up a little bit. And this is the first of two planned videos that I have about two different sorts of universal positioning concepts. This one I'm calling lateral peeking behind cover. And I'm starting here in the initiation room of Theme Park because this was the inspiration for how I think about this concept. I was watching a Pro League match and Pengu, playing Smoke, set up this wall in a control room like I have it here, with a reinforcement and a shield on the door and a shotgun open wall beside it, basically every round of defense. Even when they were defending throne room downstairs, he was still up here above with this exact same setup. And that really piqued my curiosity to analyze what the thinking behind that strategy was. And it occurred to me that the concept of what Pengu was doing here is something that's pretty easily repeatable, with two key ingredients. The first is that you're giving yourself, as the defender, bulletproof cover that you can move laterally behind and peek from multiple spots. And the second ingredient is that you're focused on a choke point, a narrow area of focus that the attacker needs to pass through. And I'll show you a bunch of examples of this on other maps, but first I just want to talk about why that, even though it's a pretty simple concept, it creates big advantages for the defender that they don't have if they're not trying to position themselves like this. First of all, it's a strategy or a positioning concept that exploits Peeker's advantage. But I won't go into a big explanation of what Peeker's advantage is. You can find that elsewhere on YouTube if you need it. But essentially it means that someone who is moving, when you're playing online with ping over 0, has an advantage over someone who is stationary. And typically that advantage is easier for attackers to exploit than it is for defenders because the attackers are typically the ones running them around the map while the defenders are holding angles. But when you set up this ability to peek laterally from behind cover, you're giving that ability to quick peek as a defender, even though you're notionally just holding an angle. Now you could, of course, roam around the map sprinting like a maniac, but against good teams, that's risky for obvious reasons. Now the second ingredient of this that's advantageous for the defender is that whereas the attacker has to go through this narrow choke point that you can confidently pre-fire as the defender, the attacker needs to worry about multiple spots that you can peek from. So their attention is split. They can't just brainlessly pre-fire one obvious spot or lock onto the edge of the door frame at head height and wait for you to pop out and smile for the camera. And Pengu was playing Smoke, but I've tried this strat a few different times and I like Alibi here. She also has a deployable shield, she also has a shotgun ability to punch open holes, and she's got a bigger magazine with her gun, which is good for pre-firing. I also find that if you throw her gadget, it also punishes attackers who might try to pre-fire you as you peek. And there are at least a couple more spots like this in Theme Park where you can apply the same concept. Here I'll slide over to another one right on the other side of the same room at initiation. Again, you've got a hard wall in the middle, and you've got open door on the left, and a soft wall that you can punch open on the right. And you can cycle between the left and the right, peeking left, peeking right, while looking at office. And there's also a doorway into showers there, which is a really tight choke point. And now I've gone downstairs to throne room. This is an aspect of defending throne room that I actually talked about in my attack strat video for this site. But if you breach the barrel wall or the maintenance wall, you are funneling yourself into a choke point and confronting defenders who have this ability to move laterally from the other side of the throne and quick peek from multiple places, which is really hard to deal with as an attacker. We're switching maps now, going to the hookah site of Coastline. Again, very similar concept. You've got a doorway, you hard reinforce the wall right beside the doorway, and you punch open a hole to the left of that. And you've got the ability to peek left through the hole you've made or peek right through the doorway. And it's a strat that's assisted, again, by putting a deployable shield in the doorway, too. Next, let's go to Cafe, and we're in Bakery. If I'm positioned behind the counter, I have a lot of lateral space where I can move around, and I can quick peek left or right, or by standing up. And I'm focused on the doorway, which is a pretty cramped space that the attackers have to get through. This isn't quite as good as the initiation hold that we looked at, because the attackers have a lot more room to move around outside and try to find an angle on me as a defender. But if you're sitting here with an ADS or two, this is extremely difficult for the attackers to deal with. I could give you a dozen examples, but I think you probably get the idea. An important thing to keep in mind is that the lateral peeking holds don't have to be inside the site that you're defending. The initiation hold that we started with in this video is still extremely useful even if you're defending daycare, even though it's not in daycare. I mean, even if it's a throne room defense, most teams will feel compelled to try and clear out the top floor, and he'll have to deal with you inside initiation if you're up there. and we're sitting here in bakery, this hold works really well to defend kitchen even though it's outside of kitchen. And I've heard pro league analysts refer to this as the concept of extensions. You don't have to barricade yourself into the perimeter of the site that's defined by the game. Sometimes you'd be better off to extend that perimeter outwards until you reach a choke point that's easier to defend. The exterior bakery door of Cafe, where we are here, is a really good example of this. So that's it for this video. As I said, there will be another video coming on a different defensive positioning concept. But thank you for watching, and as always, good luck and have fun.